Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ultimate YouTube channel. I've got a very special guest for you today, introducing the lovely Wendi Nunnery. She's an author, she speaks on faith and mental health, lots more. I'm so happy you're here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
It's perfect for you.
She's like singing out of my soul. Sometimes we get lost in our own little world, but it's all so much bigger than we realize.
I thought that you guys might enjoy me introducing one of my best friends to one of your favorite songs, Hi Ren, from the amazing Ren. Now, you said you've never heard his music, right?
No. So I've watched bits and pieces of your interview with him.
Okay.
And I know that he's a Welsh singer and that he speaks a lot and writes a lot about his struggles with mental and physical health. And he's really open about that. But I don't know anything about his music. So this is a complete blind reaction on my part.
And I'm excited because you guys know it's not going to be blind for me. So you're going to get a little bit of a double reaction here. Me reacting to her, reacting to it, you reacting to us. Like, whoa, it's a lot of reacting.
The Matrix.
Yeah. But I'm excited. I'm excited to share this with you. I don't want to say much about it at all. We're going to dive straight in. Okay. But I think, you just feel free to be completely honest. If you love it, if you hate it, say as little or as much as you want, and we'll see how she feels about it.
Excited.
What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts on what you've been experiencing with Ren so far, you guys? Woo, I'm excited.
I'm nervous. I need waterproof mascara, I think.
You might. We'll see. You ready, Wendi?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right.
Hi there, Ran. It's been a little while. Did you miss me? You thought you buried me, didn't you? Risky. Cause I always come back. Deep down, you know that. Deep down, you know I'm always in periphery. Ran, on your pleased to see me. It's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep, I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. Not your place to be biting off the hand that feeds me. Hi, Ran. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself since my therapist told me I'm ill. And I've been making some progress lately. And I've learned some new coping skills. So I haven't really needed you much, man. I think we need to just step back and chill. Ren, you sound more insane than I do. You think that those doctors are really there to guide you? Been through this a million times. Your civilian mind is so perfect to always being lied to. Okay, take another pill, boy. Drown yourself in the sound of white noise. Follow this 10-step program, rejoice. All your problems will be gone. Fucking dumb boy. Nah, mate. This time is different, man. Trust me. I feel like things might be falling in place. And my music's been kinda doing bits too. Like I actually might do something great. And when I'm gone, maybe I'll be remembered for doing something special with myself. That's why I don't think that we should talk, man. Cause when you're with me, it never seems to help. You think that you can amputate me? I am you, you are me, you are I am we are one. Split in two, that makes one. So you see, you gotta kill you if you wanna kill me. I'm not leftover dinner, I'm not scraps on the side. Oh, your music is thriving, delusional guy. Where's your top 10 hit? Where's your interview with Oprah? Where are your Grammys, Ren? Nowhere. Yeah, but my music's not commercial like that. I never chase numbers, statistics or stats. I never write hooks for the radio, they never even play me, so why would I concern myself with that? But my music is really connecting, and the people who find it respect it. And for me that's enough, cause this life's been tough, so it gives me a purpose I can rest in. Man, you sound so pretentious. Ren, your music is so self-centered. No one wants to hear another song about how much you hate yourself. Trust me. You should be so lucky, having me inside you to guide you, remind you to manage expectations, provide you perspective. That thing you neglected, I get it. You wanna be a big deal, next Jimi Hendrix, forget it. Man, it's not like that. Man, it's just like that. I'm inside twat. No, it's not, man, you're wrong. When I write, I belong. Let me break the fourth wall by acknowledging this song. Ren sits down, has a stroke of genius. He wants to write a song that was not done previous. A battle with the subconscious. Eminem did it. Played on guitar. Plan B did it. Man, you're not original, you criminal rip-off artist. The pinnacle of your success is stealing other people's material. Ren, mate, we've heard it all before. She sells seashells on the seashore. Fuck you, I don't need you, I don't need to hear this. Cause I'm fine by myself, I'm a genius. And I will be great, and I will make waves. And I'll shake up the whole world beneath us. That's right, speak your truth, your fucking God complex leaks out of you. It's refreshing to ask for you, say it instead of downplay it. Music is all about the creative process, and if people can find something to relate to within that, then that's just a bonus. Fuck you, I'ma fucking kill you, Ren. Well, fucking kill me then, let's fucking have you, Ren. I'ma do it, watch me prove it. Who are you to doubt my music? Cause I call the shots, I choose if you die. Yeah, I call the shots and so I choose who survives. I'll tie you up in knots when I lock you inside. Newsflash, I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason. Beheading all kings, I am sin, with no rhyme or reason. Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies. Mustopheles, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender. When standing in front of my solar eclipse, my name is stitched to your lips. So you see, I won't bow to the will of a mortal, feeble and normal. You wanna kill me? I'm eternal immortal. I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos, that causes division. I live inside death, the beginning of end. I am you, you are me, I am you, Ren. Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself, and I've spent half my life ill. But just as sure as the tide starts turning, just as sure as the night has dawned, just as sure as the rainfall soon runs dry when you stand in an eye of a storm. I was made to be tested and twisted. I was made to be broken and beat. I was made by his hand, it's all part of his plan that I stand on my own 2 feet. And you know me, my will is eternal. And you know me, you've met me before. Face to face with a beast, I will rise from the east and I'll settle on the ocean floor. And I go by many names also. Some people know me as hope. Some people know me as the voice that you hear when you loosen the noose on the rope. And you know how I know that I'll prosper? Cause I stand here beside you today. I have stood in the flames that cremated my brain, and I didn't once flinch or shake. So cower at the man I've become when I sing from the top of my lungs. That I won't retire, I'll stand in your fire, inspire that me to be strong. And when I am gone, I will rise in the music that I left behind. Ferocious, persistent, immortal like you, we're a climate different side. When I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas, that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences, with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis. As I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare, but there were victims and there were students. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was a pendulum, eternally swaying from the dark to the light. And the more intensely that the light shone, the darker the shadow it cast. It was never really a battle for me to win. it was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax, and I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget, we must not forget, that we are human beings.
Ooh. I feel like I could spend hours on that. That was brilliant, heartbreaking, just so poetic and beautiful and therapeutic and powerful. It was so many things at once. And immediately when he did the back and forth, as soon as he started that, I just, because you know this, I know that struggle really well. So I have OCD, and I write a lot about that, and I talk about it. I wrote a whole book about it. That has impacted everything about my life in the last 15 years. At this point in my life, I can say that I wouldn't change that at all, that I'm actually really grateful for my mental illness and the struggle. I love what he said at the end about it being a dance.
Yeah.
And that the more rigid your steps, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
Because when you are rigid about it, when you have this real black and white kind of thinking about what's happening to you, you want to just battle against what you view as bad. It's like it's bad and it's good, instead of it just being a reality that you live in. And so for me, I can say that when he's singing those things, it's just so, I just understand it so deeply what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It broke my heart too. There's so much to unpack. I feel like I could just talk about it forever, but
Let's pull up the lyrics a little bit. What did you notice? You mentioned that that back and forth, and something that has stood out to me when I was reviewing it is, that even the play with the lights is a great aspect of the video itself, right? That flickering, the intensity, the notes and the chord progression, and that chaotic feeling with the guitar to now that joyful.
It's a visual representation of what's happening in the music.
Yes, right? Isn't it fascinating? The video as well as the musical composition, it all works with that theme.
Yeah.
But it's heavy from the start.
Yeah, very heavy from the start. I mean, even his voice, the voice of his illness, the voice of darkness, the voice of Satan, the voice of evil, whatever it is that you would attribute that to, is so, like, spine tingling. Yes. And I think for me, like, I sometimes call my OCD the Karen in my brain. She's a bully. But it's that same mindset. Sometimes it can just feel so dark and so oppressive. And he really showcased that in the song. That voice of hope and the battle that you feel to argue with what's happening inside of you, to go back and forth and have this wordplay. Yeah. And you try to use logic against something that's not logical. So
I love that the whole song is even titled Hi, Ren, because it was my introduction to Ren. So it felt funny.
This was the first song.
It was the very first song that I listened to. Ooh. So I was mind blown. I mean, I went from crying to laughing to just fist pumping the air.
I know, by the end you just feel so victorious.
Oh my gosh, when he stands up. Even watching it again, and this is my third time now doing a video on it. I did first time I saw it, then a year later I did it's been a year, how will it affect me now type of video. And then even just experiencing with you, I was excited and nervous because you never know what you're gonna get, right? You could introduce a song to somebody and they might be like, cool, not for me. But I feel like with
you know me too well.
Yeah, I know you too well, and I figured it would be perfect as a start to introduce you to. But I feel like it's hard for it to be something that wouldn't possibly impact someone. Honestly, even if it evokes a lot of apprehension or hate in somebody, and they're like, I hate this, I would be curious to dive deeper into why.
To ask why do you hate it so much? What is it that's causing you to feel? I think it's going to cause a visceral reaction for whoever watches it anyway. And the truth is that even if you don't struggle with a mental health diagnosis or a physical diagnosis, like you said, Lyme disease. everybody has darkness in their
Yes,
life.
yes.
Everybody has that. And like he said, there might be some where the light is really bright. So when there is darkness, that shadow is more defined.
Yeah.
Or it might be softened. But everybody has it.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think that anybody can connect with it. And
Yeah, it's a human being experience, and he
right,
ends
like
on
he
that.
said,
We're human beings.
We're human beings.
Yeah.
And there's something really beautiful about that too. And he touches on that in the end when he talks about that's what makes us different, right?
Yeah.
From angels and demons. And I think about, I can't even remember that movie now, but there's a movie with Ben Affleck where he's an angel. And I can't remember. Somebody's going to know. Somebody in the comments is going to know. But he says something along those lines of like, we wish that we could have the experiences that humans do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can be so painful, but it can also be so rewarding. And that's what I've experienced, the perseverance in the character. And I think about like scripture that says, you know, these trials produce character and perseverance and then hope from that. And there's so much in my life I feel like that my OCD has given me more so than what it's taken away because of what it has highlighted that's so good. For so many of like the harmful things in my life, I feel like it's burned away some of those ideas about those legalistic, really dogmatic, hard black and white thinking, much more compassion for people. Even from the very beginning, hi there, Fran, it's been a little while. Did you miss me? And I just was like, yep, that's what that feels like. You know, OCD will go quiet for a while. I'm using my therapeutic tools. I'm on my medication. I've got a, prayer life, and we're doing all the things, and I'm sleeping well and eating well. And then something will trigger it. And it does. It feels just like, did you miss me? You forgot. But like he says, risky. You thought I was gone. Risky.
Such a reverse psychological play throughout the whole song, because saying "Did you miss me" would be something that you say to a friend or a loved one, right? Hey, did you miss me? Oh, I'm back. I missed you. But it's such a trap. And for those of you who don't know, when we're referring to OCD, we're speaking of actual compulsive disorder. We're speaking of actual
diagnosis.
Yes, an actual diagnosis and actual intrusive thoughts. So it's not the falsely stigmatized idea of, you just want your pencils in a neat order OCD. We're speaking of intrusive thoughts. We're speaking of compulsion. It's a diagnosis. It's a disorder. And it causes a lot of pain to those who struggle with that.
Thank you for saying that.
Severe pain. Yeah, I think it needs to be said because it's, still sometimes is a word that's thrown around.
Yeah.
Incorrectly.
Oh, I hear it a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so OCD about that. No,
right.
you're not.
No, just because you want your room tidy doesn't mean you have
you're
OCD.
You're just anal retentive.
Right. Yeah. And that needs to be said because I think those who either know what it's like, including you, that's why I think that song relates to people so much because it's beyond having a bad day. There's severe pain here, severe mental trauma.
Yeah, and it's this taunting voice too. Take another pill, boy. It's like, oh, you just try to do all the things you think are going to get rid of me. He just continues to come back with like, no, I'm doing these things. No, I matter. No, what I have to say matters, and the things that I have to say matter. And I really connected with that as an author because I write so much about my mental illness and the intersection of that with my faith and with being a mom of 2 kids and being married and just the way it impacts my entire life and the way that I live, even if I'm not actually in, I guess you would say, like sometimes my therapist would say that I was in like OCD remission, right? I still have it, but I'm just really super healthy. All the things are in a row. You know, nothing's been triggering me lately.
The writing part, just to speak on that just for a moment or ask about that, I figured that you might relate to that. I think what he speaks on, even though he's looking at it from the lens of his experience as a musician, I figured you might be able to relate to that because of those lies that we might tell ourselves, that imposter syndrome, feeling of, well, you're not like so-and-so, you never made it on Oprah's show, like who are you, right?
Where's your Grammys?
How did that resonate with you as someone who has accomplished great things, but from the things we've talked about, there's still a desire to leave a legacy?
Oh yeah.
What did that do for you?
I mean, I think that it just drives home the reality that that's true for all of us, that we want the things that we experience to mean something. We want them to have beauty from ashes, right? We want to take what has been hard and we want it to have purpose and value, because otherwise it just feels meaningless. And when something that's painful is meaningless, it just hurts all the more.
Yeah, because it's empty. It's almost like there's no hope.
Right. There's no hope in it. And I think that there's always hope. Even in those really, really dark places, I think there's always light, but we have to look for it, and that can be so, so difficult. And so people like Ren who are speaking to that directly, like that's hopeful.
Yes.
Just even talking about it
Yes.
and saying those things aloud, because for so many people, that stuff is festering in the dark.
Yeah.
They don't know how to talk about it. They don't feel capable of it, or they've never been told that they can, or maybe they don't even want to acknowledge it because it feels so scary. But bringing it to the light, that is light. Talking about it, singing about it, writing about it. It's really powerful. I also wanted to talk about the fact that it's like his mind is saying to him, because it's not original, right? There's nothing new under the sun. It can't have any meaning to it, you know? Everybody does that. Everybody pulls from life, and human beings experience all kinds of similar situations, and that's what we connect with. Fuck you, I don't need you.
And the seashells, seashells is also a reference to one of his other songs.
Oh, really?
So not only is it this awesome alliteration and this play on, you know, the rhymes that we've heard before, right?
Yeah.
That we know
Yeah.
it. It's
We know
also
what's
a little
coming.
hint to another song of his, and
Okay.
a little bit of a red thread that you'll learn more about as you explore his music. But
yeah, I'm excited to explore his music now after
Yeah.
this, because it's even just him playing on the guitar. You know, you can feel it's dark and light. It's slow. It's fast. It builds. You know, there's that denouement, kind of like what you would find in a story at the end, and then he comes down, and there's almost, when he ends, there's no resolution to that note at the end. It just stops. But then he starts talking, and so that's the resolution. I just thought it was so beautiful, artistically, musically, narratively, all of that. I'm really excited to go check out the rest of his stuff. Is there other thing like that makes me cry? That would make me cry?
Yeah, some of it that'll make you cry. Oh yeah, plenty to make you
Okay,
cry.
great.
What I like about him is that he taps into all kinds of different genres. So where one song may be more, you know, taps into more of that old school hip hop, or I think, if I remember correctly, in our interview we were talking about his the influences, where there was even some drum and bass in his influences, a little bit of that reggae in one of his other songs. But a lot of his more personal compositions that are either acoustic or on the piano, because he's a multi-instrumentalist, there's a lot of emotion there. A lot of emotion. Oh, yeah. And y'all let us know in the comments which one you want her to check out next. But I would say I could see many people wanting you to check out Sick Boy.
Okay.
You'll see some, you know, red threads there possibly. But even his song Suicide, his trilogy. There's a trilogy. It's called the Jenny and Screech trilogy. And it's, you as an author and as a storyteller, are going to just love it.
Okay.
You're going to just have to watch and stay on it, because there's so much. I feel like with his music, you just, because of the multi-layeredness of his art, it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
And I guess you pick things up with every time you listen.
Yeah, I was going to say that, because there was so much that I almost wanted to tell you, like, stop, I want to listen to it again.
Yeah, I was letting you drive, because I'm like, I don't want to, you know, pause it and then force a conversation.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm just going to cry out.
I wanted to get all the way through it, because
it was a lot.
I shouldn't have done my makeup before. I should have done it after.
Yeah.
But there was just so much that I wanted to unpack, that this is definitely going to take a couple more listens.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's sad, but it's also so uplifting too. I'd want to sit down and just let it kind of wash over me.
Yeah.
A couple of times.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was.
When he got up, how did you feel when he got up out of the wheelchair, when he stood up? After that very dark.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I was like, what are you going to say? What's he about to do here? You know, because I thought it was over initially, you know, and then he gets up and he starts talking, and I was like, he is just dropping some knowledge here.
Isn't that crazy, right? Isn't that, I'm sorry, sometimes my mind wanders, because for a split second, when you said, I was wondering what he would do when he got up, I imagined him standing up and just starting to scream heavy metal and bang the guitar.
Well, I mean, I could see
my imagination just took a run.
I didn't know if he was gonna like get in the camera and scream or something. I don't know. I felt like anything could have fit there. Like,
start throwing lamps, like you don't know. But that's the crazy about this piece. I agree with you. Is like it keeps building, and he keeps dropping these wisdom nuggets. You know what I mean? Like even when Darkness was talking, it was like, oh.
Can I be honest with you? So much of it reads to me, even just looking at it on screen. It reads to me like a psalm.
Ooh, okay.
It really does.
Okay.
It sounds like a psalm. It reads like a psalm because so much of what you
Yes.
see in the Psalms is this back and forth, like, no, I see hope and God, you're
Yes.
going to rescue me. But also, like, how long, oh Lord?
Yeah.
You know?
That's a really good
It's like a
point.
modern day psalm.
That's a very good point. Yes, I don't think I had thought of that.
I don't think
I had thought of that before, but I agree. Like the Psalms in the Bible, where yeah, you see a lot of that lamentation. You see that wrestling with God. You see hope peeking its head through, but honest conversation. And I like that. I think that's why a lot of people are touched by it, because it's this message that is relatable to all of us. Like you said, we're human beings.
Yeah.
It's this struggle we all know in our own way, shape or form, but it's an honest conversation. I mean, even him using those, using the F-bombs here and there and that cathartic expression, it's almost like nothing else would be fitting to really talk about the heaviness of life, but also that victory. And I love that, because I feel like sometimes in life, just like you said earlier, we find ourselves either dogmatic, we're looking for meaning and answers, and want to find an answer, so we want to go with it's either black or white. And so when we can't find that through grief, through life, because we grieve even when, you know, just life happens, not even just a death of someone, we find ourselves wanting to reach acceptance, but we have to actually go through it. And I think sometimes it requires actually coming face to face with the doubt, with the questions, with the anger, with the ugly.
Oh, God. Oh, when he gets up and he says, like, I got a lot of names too.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like,
Sure, yeah.
fuck yeah, you got a lot of names. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. There's a lot of names for hope and for light and for goodness and for faith. And it was very powerful. And I feel like it's the kind of song, it's the kind of art that I wish were more mainstream.
Yes.
And I know he says that, you know, I don't write for that. I write for what I have to say. But I do wish that more people, I mean, obviously I know that he's really popular in the UK, so, you know, they got their heads on straight.
They get it right. Yeah, he was charting, or is charting at #1, and it was awesome to see how his music was and still is blowing up. But I agree. I hope that even doing reactions like this brings it more to all around the world for people to recognize.
I'm glad that you introduced me to him.
Yeah? Did you like it?
I loved it.
I'm scrolling down through the lyrics to see if there's anything else that stood out to you.
Ooh, wait, he said, I've stood in the flames that cremated my brain.
Dang,
and
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, that stuck out to me. Just the visceral imagery of that statement. That he stood in those flames and withstood them.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, like it's messed with my brain, but like I'm still here. I'm still standing in this.
Yeah.
There's no real winners, right? It's like physiological warfare. Just that whole idea of it being an eternal dance is so good, because I know that for me with my obsessions, and that's cognitive behavioral therapy, is that if you fight your obsessions, if you say, no brain, oh, don't think that, all that does is actually strengthen the thought. It strengthens the neural connection that makes those thoughts so powerful. And so you have to actually, one of the biggest things they teach you is like accepting those thoughts, looking at them as like, oh, it's like a cloud passing by, like, oh, I see that thought. I see that.
Yeah.
So there's acceptance in that helps you to live with it and to thrive with it and not be torn down by it.
Not to be so rigid.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, more like a compassionate observer, I suppose.
Yes.
That lets it pass.
To observe. That's such a good way of saying it. I've thought about that so many times with my thoughts. Like, I see you. That's weird. I don't like that. That doesn't feel good. But instead of letting it cripple me.
Yeah.
Because I can. And sometimes I still do, and I don't feel any shame about that the way that I used to.
Yeah.
I used to just battle it constantly. And a lot of that was because I didn't have language for it. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't actually diagnosed yet. But I can look back now and see that the times when I was able to just be, okay, this is a thing. I'm okay. Everything's actually okay, even though it doesn't feel like it in my brain. That was when I would come out of it faster.
Yeah.
You know. And
I love that he ends with that, because if he were to have ended with the evil voice, that would have been really disheartening. Like, lights off. I'm the eternal damnation of Eden's snake. Bye. Like, oh my gosh. But also if he would have ended just with him standing up and going, hey, I also have hope, and I also, you know, am this and that. Even though that would have been powerful, it still, I think, leaves a lot of people with that, but I'm not there.
But I'm not
right?
there.
So if you have someone that goes, but there's always hope. I tend to do that sometimes. I'll find something dark and I'll go, but there's hope, right? Because I'd refuse to want to end on the darkness.
Yeah.
But a lot of people may not resonate with that because they're still in the darkness.
Right.
So even if someone's on the outline, on the outskirts, waving a candle, going, look, there's hope, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything for a person that's deep in depression, deep in anxiety, and with OCD.
Yeah, it reads as trite
Yes,
whenever you're
yes.
in that place.
Yes, it might read as trite, or it might read as just good for you. You made it through, but that's not for me, right? It's either this or it's that. And so I love that in that, what would you call it, an epilogue, or in that monologue at the end, right? Is that right?
Epilogue.
He summarizes, but he brings it. He brings it to a realistic conclusion.
Sure.
Of, hey, we had the darkness, we had the light, and I realize it's not a battle for me to win. And even now, that's like, I'm gonna start crying all over again, because that is so hard to let go when you all your life have either been dogmatic or have tried to just figure it out, and you are afraid you can't have peace, or that shame creeps in when you quite haven't mastered that dance.
Yeah.
Not realizing, like he says, or like you just said, the more rigid we become, it gets harder.
Yeah.
Versus accepting and
moving into curiosity.
Yes.
Being curious about it.
And being the compassion. Compassion goes such a long way, but sometimes we romanticize it. You know, it's easy to be compassionate when I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
It's really hard to be compassionate when I want to punch someone in the throat because they're, not acting right around me. You know, I think that type of fruit will also come through the exercise of compassion towards ourselves. That is, love your neighbor as yourself.
Mm-hmm. Amen. And then when he said, I learned to soften and the dance got easier.
Yes.
And I understand that so deeply. And I feel that one of the things that I've said is that I have not, my OCD is not healed. But Jesus has healed me. I am healed. I feel victorious. I feel whole because I have learned to live with this thing, because I've learned to look at it sometimes even like a gift, which is hard for people to understand when they're really deep in the darkness or if they haven't experienced it themselves. But having stood those fires like he did, while my brain is being cremated, standing in those fires, enduring them, being refined in that fire and coming out like metal does, stronger because of it. Is because I have been willing to sit with it. And that's not an easy thing to do. And that's something that I've had to learn over a long period of time. So when I say that, it's not just, sit with it,
Yeah. You've actually sat with it.
It's a practice of more than
every
a decade.
Day. Yeah.
But I loved that he came around to it at the end of there is hope, and it's both and. Two things true at the same time. You know, I mean, I have written about that before, that you can have two things coexisting at the same time.
I'm so glad I got to share this with you today, Wendi.
Me too.
What did you guys think? I'm sure many of you have seen Hi Ren. If you haven't yet, then go listen to it again. Go support and subscribe to Ren. But what did you think of this song? Or maybe as you've been listening to it multiple times now, did something new stand out to you? Something that we missed? What are your thoughts on what we talked about today? Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Make sure to subscribe. And where can we find you, Wendi? If you guys want to go check out all the things that are Wendi Nunnery.
Yeah. So I write regularly on my Substack. It's wendinunnery.substack.com.
Links
it's
below.
called The Nook. And I write a lot about writing, motherhood, faith, mental illness. And I also, in the past, I was the host I created a podcast called the Sooo OCD Podcast. I'm not in production of that anymore, but it's still online, available. There were 2 seasons, and I really just wanted that to be a toolkit for people to kind of reference if they were wondering what OCD was about, or if they had it themselves. Maybe we're curious about what that's like to live with obsessive compulsive disorder. And you can find my books online, Wendi Nunnery, Wendi with an I at the end. So yeah, that's it.
I'm so glad you were on the show today, Wendi.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
I
you for
love
hanging
you.
with me. I love you. All right, you guys, I appreciate you. Remember that you are loved and you matter, and I will see you on the next ride. Ayo!